Should I look at the camera?
You look wherever you feel comfortable.
You know what? I'll just look at you, Ben, because
Sounds
you're in
good.
the room. My name's Nick. I make music as Bowvee.
And so, how long have you been making music as Bowvee?
Shoot, probably like as Bowvee, like 2 years.
Okay.
And just in general, probably like since I was in sixth grade, like middle school.
But has there been like projects with names before
Yes, actually. So the first band I was ever in was with one of my best friends, Chris's band. It was called Ties to Fear.
Really?
So that's my shout out to Ties to Fear. He's still like totally and always has spearheaded that project, but like that was like the first like DIY thing I was ever a part of, just like in high school.
Bowvee? Is that project still going?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
We still work on stuff sometimes, but like it was always his thing. Like I would sing on his tracks, but he'd like write them all, he'd record them all. Like at the time like that I joined the band, like I didn't even know how to play guitar really. So it was totally just like watching Chris do his thing, and he's still doing this thing.
Well, I'm curious about like, what are your like musical inspirations? Because you say you've been making music since sixth grade, so there has to be a lot of music
Yeah.
education before that, and like being inspired to come along and make your own music. So like, when somebody asks you like, oh, who is like your favorite artist that like inspire the music you make? Who would that be?
Probably Dayglow.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'd probably say Cave Town up next. Those like two were super influential to me, like in middle school and then in high school as well. And like a lot of people tell me I sound like Dayglow. So yeah, like that's like the obvious one. Maybe like too much, but I gotta like tone it back. But I definitely love Dayglow a lot. I totally grew up like with no musicians around me besides my buddy Chris, who I mentioned earlier. But like moving here in Milwaukee and like talking to like people that like get it, it's
Yeah.
like it's super cool. Like you could like talk all day about
It's
this
a
stuff.
whole community. Yeah. Where are you from then?
Well, so I moved here in 2019, but I'm originally from the East Coast in Maryland. So that's where my dad's family's from. That's where I was kind of born and raised, but I moved 6 times like throughout my life. So that was like, so every 2 years we were in a new state pretty much.
You think Milwaukee's like the place to be now?
I think so. I like it here, and obviously I'm going to school here, so I'm trying to finish that out, and we'll see
Right.
where it takes me, but I like it in the city.
A fan question is, what is the name Bowvee like? What's the significance to you?
So it's just like my last name, so my name's just like Nick Bowvee, and then so it's spelled like Bove, like that's my like birth name, and then I added a W and an extra E for like, I don't know, artistic purposes or something. Like it was totally just like I didn't want to overthink the name, so I was just like, my last name exists already, and I'm like, can't complain about that.
Yeah, that works. I think people, and I'm wondering, the question is do you agree with this? But I don't think people realize that is your last name.
Yeah, that's like it's like not like a problem, but like something I've run into where I'm like, hey, I'm Nick Bowvee, and I'm like, oh, wait, that sounds weird because like people don't realize that's like my last name. I don't know.
I remember personally, like when I first met you, it was like you introduced yourself as Bowvee, and that's just like what I knew you as for like a
Sure.
couple months after that until I figured out your name was Nick.
Yeah.
But yeah, but calling you anything that's not Bowvee feels a little wrong.
You know what? I think like my whole life people have thought that because like even when I was like younger, people just call me Bowvee just like by my last name. So
Talked about, Bowvee came around 2 years ago. Can you give me like the backstory of how that came about?
So I've been like recording a bunch of demos, and I knew that I wanted to like make it into like one big thing. So in like my junior year, I started working on what would become like my debut album, and then like I knew when I wanted stuff to release. Like I don't know, I'm the type of person where like I have to have like a set like plan and like dates in mind. So like I totally set it up so that like my first single would release like right before the album would drop and everything. So I don't know. I had Hard to Understand, which is like the first Bowvee song, I think. And I hadn't recorded the rest of the album yet, but I like really wanted to release the song. So like without like any idea what I was doing, I don't know, I finished the song. I like grinded on it for 3 months, and then I just released it, and then that was the first Bowvee song.
Oh, hell yeah. What goes into the process of making Bowvee music? Like, how hands-on are you with it?
Yeah, it's like 100%. So I like, it's not even just like I'm against working with people. It's more so just like that's how I've always done it, and it feels weird for me to like give that away. Like I've never been like good at working with people like when I create it. So I just always felt like the need that like I wanted to like push to make it whatever it was that I wanted it to be.
In terms of like the production side of things, I'm curious, has like producing and like mixing and mastering your songs been something that has been like a big learning process that like throughout Bowvee, or I mean, did you come into Bowvee like already knowing like this is how I do it?
So I did have a good amount of practice before I released like my first single. Like if you check my SoundCloud, like I have some like one old track from like the ancient Bowvee times, and like it was pretty much like my first album was like a culmination of like all the practice I had done on production. Like I'd been working for a long time, just like trying to get better, and then like the album was going to be like my first piece. The production side of it is definitely like the thing that I'm most passionate about. So like when it came to that first album, I wanted it to be like 100% me. Like it was definitely intentional that I wasn't working with anybody else. And there was definitely a learning curve. Like I had no idea what I was doing. Like I mixed the whole album on like my Mac speakers. Like I didn't own any headphones. I didn't own like nice speakers. It was literally just like, if it sounds good on the Mac speakers, I'm sure it'll sound good on other places. So that was kind of the goal. It was just like, if I can make it sound good here and like in my car, then I was doing a good job.
And your lyrics as well, you write those?
Yeah.
Where do you pull inspiration from your lyrics?
Lyrics?
Mm-hmm.
See, I think before I ever recorded music, I was always a big writer. And like, I was writing stories like when I was younger and stuff. So I've always had like, I feel like this like grand idea of lyrics. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad way to put it, but like, I don't really know. Like lyrics is hard to pinpoint where I draw inspiration from. I think I definitely go kind of primal, and like I just say like whatever feels the most right. Like even if it doesn't like make sense, if it like feels right, then like that's the way to go. And like I think I draw a lot from just like everyday conversations. Like I have I have in my notes app like just a bunch of random music like lines that I hear. Like if I like hear something like a conversation literally just like in passing, and I'm like, oh that's cool, I'll write it down. And then like if it feels like I can put it in a song, I'll put it in the song. So it's really just like whatever like sounds right to me. Like I don't really sit down and like I'm gonna write a song about this. I kind of interpret it later.
Have you ever had somebody go like, what the fuck are you doing? When you like start writing down a lyric?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely. That has happened. It's funny you say that, like, because it's so cool, like, talking with musicians in the scene and stuff, and, like, getting their, like, opinions. And, yeah, like, on my song Into Place, I think, like, somebody asked about, like, what the heck does leading on a reader mean? Mm-hmm. And they were like, I was like, I don't know, man. It just, like, it sounded right when I sat down and wrote it.
Well, speaking of people asking you questions, this is from a fan. What instrument speaks to you the most when you're writing a song?
Yeah, the guitar, the acoustic guitar. I mean, like, it's like, I feel like people have said this a billion times, it's the people's instrument. I don't know, it's like, it's just easy. It's easy for me to get.
So, when it comes to Bowvee, is there something that you, like a song, or is there something that Bowvee has done that you think is underrated and more people knew about?
You know, I don't know. Underrated, that's tough. Maybe that like, okay, here's my little underrated fun fact.
Okay.
So like in my album Cool Guy, hopefully you've listened to it. So like in my intro track Color and in the title track Cool Guy, like there's like a solo thing where it's like da, 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 and it's like it's the same. I use the same like lead in like both songs and just like a different like rhythm to like, because I really love albums that are like super cohesive, so like I like literally just copy paste the same melody, and like I don't think I've heard anybody like mention that.
That's dope.
So that's my underrated facts.
Listeners beware. Go back and listen to the album, see if you can find it. But okay, here's a fan question. For Pumpkin Pie, especially the video, how did you achieve such a dreamlike feel? I love it.
So with the song, I definitely like wanted it to feel super trippy, like Mac DeMarco, like just like twangy like everywhere, and like I totally just like went all out just trying to make the track feel like really like almost like singy songy, but also like eerie.
Yeah.
And then with the video, that's like all thanks to Logan Johnson, who is a student at my ad, who like filmed and directed the whole thing. Go check him out. I think his at is Logan Johnson Art.
We'll put some up.
Yeah, we'll put something up like somewhere. But Logan totally like carried that video and made it what it was. Like I had an idea in mind, and then he told me like, I'm gonna storyboard this and it's gonna be something. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was totally cool with that.
Well, staying on the art side of things, this fan question made me realize like just going through your discography and like looking at the single covers and album covers you have, there's all like a theme there. And I'm curious, this is a two-pronged question, but how do you get your album covers, unless it's like a secret or something? And then like what's the inspiration behind your album covers?
So it's not really like a huge secret. I took them in my basement, just like, believe it or not, like with my phone camera. It wasn't even like with a nice camera or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't know, when I was making that album, I was like a huge fan of like almost like shrine like pictures. So like just like having one centerpiece and then just like a cool backdrop. Like there's a Coin album that like I think it's like the one with Talk Too Much on it. I'm drawing a blank on what the album's called, but like it has like this red backdrop, and then it has like this like stone thing with like the lyrics on it or something. And I was really into that. Or like Dayglow again, like with his debut Fuzzy Brain, like it's just like a clay sculpture of his head and like a backdrop, and I was like super into that idea. So I just kind of made that the theme and tried to make it like correlate with like the song.
There you go.
And yeah, I just take it in my basement, set it up, got stuff from Michael's, and then I just put it all together.
So another fan question, when is new music coming?
Very soon. I don't have a date, but it's gonna be this year.
Hell yeah.
I'm working on a lot, but a little.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like I had to like hold back on this next thing that I'm working on, but it's gonna be like it'll be a full like collective thing,
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we talking like EP?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
thinking like I can't confirm nor deny, but not even because like
Mm-hmm.
somebody's telling me, but literally just because like I can't decide. Like I can't decide
Right.
if it's gonna be an EP or an album, but I think it's gonna be an EP.
Is there any like socials, upcoming shows, anything else you'd like to shout out?
Shoot. Well, if this is gonna come out a week before the show, that's like my only show that I have like booked right now. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for me. Come to the show on Downer, February 15th, and follow Bowvee Band.
Hell yeah.
And I guess follow Jacob, Slade, and Blacktop, who are gonna be playing that same night too.
They're smaller artists. They could use the shout
Smaller
out.
artists, yeah. They could really, especially Jacob.
Oh, for sure.